let's rock and let's record while we are rocking. Because actually, my beautiful audience, we have started already rocking, behind the scene. And I love about this podcast because, actually, of course, I'm doing a lot of cool pre-homework because I have best of ever lovely souls who actually say to me, Valeria, I would be honored to participate, but I'm honored much more because people are giving me their best ever commodity. It's their time. So thank you so much to my very special guest today. Very, very smart brain guy. So like I already discussed with him the pre-story when my daughter was styled me down stairs, and she's like, my God. And I was watching his podcast with Andy Crawford, and they were like discussing really, really smart stuff. And then my daughter, she's like almost 16. She's like, Mama, who are those guys? They look very smart. I was like, yeah, and they're actually prominent minds in the world. They are very smart. I was like, okay, why we like listening them? I was like, yeah, because this guy, he will be guest in my podcast in 1 hour. She's like, Mom, are you crazy? How you can possibly hold this conversation with one of these guys? Like, oh yeah, but I'm charming. Maybe I can charm you with my smile, and still I like it because I will be drawing my questions, and that's why I'm so happy. But okay, before I start actually revealing the name, I just 2 minutes more of this story. And we were like watching, like, and trying to really figure out all this technical stuff. And she's like, no, Mom, you have you have no chance. They're too smart. I have no idea. Maybe you should drop off the whole idea. Before this one guy, I love him for this comment. He's like, what's actually sexy about all this cybersecurity, what we are talking about? I was like, what Nicole, have you heard that? Or I just was dreaming today because I was like reading like about goddess of sex actually the whole night. I was like, Nicole, have you heard what he said? He said sexy, this guy. He's like, yes, Mom, he said that. It's like, wow, he's a really normal, cool guy. That's my guy. That's we'll have the beautiful conversation ever. And when he repeated 2 times, I was like, Nicole, no, this podcast will be just fine. She's like, no, I understand now. So okay,
so we need to talk about sexy things then. Yes?
Absolutely. My honorary guest.
Okay.
Everything about approach, attitude in our life. You can take absolutely everything and make it disaster or make it sexy gem, right? So we take this subject now, which is really, you should be prominent mind. And actually, I'm kind of nerd, but not in that area. I can't be in all this area, but he is. That saves us from this point. But still, because I invited him, so I'm kind of supposed to ask, and I'm allowed to draw my questions, so which will be probably not that very technical. But okay, so please welcome to the show, Matthew Rosenquist. Amazing story behind this gem today. Welcome. And I'm always given the title, and it should be a little bit okay, sexy probably, but I had no time actually for half an hour to restart all my concepts. So it still be, cybersecurity. I think actually it's already a very sexy word when I'm pronouncing that. Very shy girl, right? Cybersecurity.
You pull it off. You can make that sound sexy.
Okay, amazing. Leadership with Matthew Rosenquist, and actually I believe that your surname is very sexy, so that's why we already have double trouble. Okay, embracing diversity for stronger defense. Is it okay? Smart enough? Okay, welcome. In this episode, we will be discussing the innovation, diversity, and strategy converge in the fast-paced world of cybersecurity together with Matthew, a true visionary leader with over 35 years of exceptional experience in the cybersecurity industry. I'm sorry, looking at you, you're so young. You start in the kindergarten, or?
I'm very old. You just can't tell. I drink a lot of coffee. It keeps me young. So, but yes.
Okay, but then it's kind of special coffee, which you probably, I don't know what you put inside. We take it after, because I need this respect. Respected technology, strategist, and chief CISO, is right? It's chief information security officer, right?
Yes.
Oh, wow. You see, this is Great credit for me. Matthew has worked with top organizations like, of course, Intel Core and Mercury Risk, driving innovative solutions and shaping the future of security. As a thought leader and industry innovator, you bring a pragmatic approach to tackling today's most pressing cybersecurity challenges. Whether discussing leadership strategies, emerging trends, or cutting edge best practice, cutting edge, I like. You are here to provide actionable insights for professionals looking to stay ahead in a complex and rapidly changing landscape of AI and digitalization. So join us, please. It will be a really fun conversation, and I believe and promise will be very, very diversified. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Wow.
My pleasure. Looking forward to talking about sexy aspects of
Yay!
cybersecurity.
Amazing. And before we start, because sex is kind of a little bit, we need to wait until we develop and evolve as persons. And I always start with actually dreams and fantasies, imagination world we are always, not always, but many of us actually live when we are kids. And I would like to know more about little Matthew, how this guy evolved and his mindset and dreams and everything. What his Matthew Wonderland was then, because now you really work with all this, special. But because I believe we all from childhood, right? And a lot of things happens in childhood which impact our adulthood and money mindset. So can you share the story of this great guy, little Matthew, please? We start there.
So, I mean, I've always had a passion for technology. Whether it was learning new computer languages or tearing apart computers or whatever it was, I always loved digital technology, and I looked with excitement into the future of what it could hold. So there was that aspect, and very young, my father was actually a homicide detective. So I was involved and got to see aspects of law enforcement. And I love the idea and the pursuit of justice, of getting the bad guy. And as I grew older and started getting into my first jobs and careers, I found myself in a position and drawn to working in a field that protected assets, that worked against thieves and fraudsters, forgers, things of that sort. So I worked a lot with internal investigations and external investigations against crime, against theft and fraud and embezzlement and things like that. And I love the aspect of squaring off against, right, being up against an intelligent adversary. And sometimes they're really intelligent. Most of the time they're not that intelligent, but it's different than just solving a problem. You have to deal with the intellect and the creativity and the motivations of an intelligent adversary. And so cybersecurity, and back when I started, it wasn't even called cybersecurity. It wasn't even called information security. When I started 30 years ago, right, more than that, it was system security, and it was a dead-end job. This is before the internet, right? But it was a dead-end job, but I loved it. I love the idea of it, and I love working in that space. And as it turned out, the career kind of took off, right? Digital technology became more prominent in our lives. It touches everybody. We rely on it from our own behaviors and needs, personal needs, our emotions, our economy, jobs, everything is now interwoven with this digital technology. And wherever there's value, there are bad people that are going to try and take it, steal it, maneuver and abuse others with it. And so I found myself in an advantageous position of being in my dream job. I get to protect and be involved with the latest, greatest technology And I still get to go after the bad guys. I get to protect it from intelligent threats, and they are smart and they've lots of resources, and so that's an exciting challenge. And that keeps me young. I love this. I want to do this forever. If I won the lottery tomorrow, I would still be doing this. This is my passion. So I am very fortunate that I get to follow my passion every single day. It just happens to be my job as well.
Wow, what a story, so passionate uh tone even when you're describing it, like, because from your childhood, even I could call this podcast, our episode, from dad job to dream job, right? It's actually true. And now you never know what's happening actually tomorrow, but that's how passion is growing, because it's kind of when
Mm-hmm.
people know everything's predictable, kind of boring. So, for people who really love challenges, and it's definitely you and me, like, okay, what then we need to create them ourselves. But the passion you have chosen, you don't need to, you need really like to chase bad guys, because all these challenges they are creating for you every single day. And wow, and you are always like one of the first one even to figure out what type of challenges is it now, because we never know what's happening tomorrow in this domain, right? Like you said, like it was just system, now it's cybersecurity. And you we have no idea. Even those domain made a lot of new vocabularies, new words, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we never ever really uh, was aware of. And now I understand, because it's so passionate and you really, like, love it. And I can feel that's why I know where came this sex of, because if you really just love something, it really feels passion every day, then you can call this with this like divine word. Now it makes sense for me, even yeah. Oh, now it makes sense. And and if we actually already came there, and we we were like very smoothly delving into uh your passion and what you are doing, and these bad guys, right? And it's true, everything what is new always scary for people, right? Like industrial revolution, like nuclear weapon, everything. And I believe
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of helpful to raise awareness and to get more knowledge, then it will be less scary for people, because yeah, our nature, if it's something new, we are kind of afraid. But I understood more and more before actually I was also delving in your domain, that it's always been like that. Weapon in bad guys hands, it's something bad. Weapon in good guy hands, it's okay. But we need how to kind of anyway to have this special I don't know, conditions, or to secure, right? Because every single day
Mm-hmm.
now, like you said, we interact with AI and digital in every single action. But before, like, technical stuff, it's very cool, of course, but I'm sure you've been asked about that 100 times, and you have your own beautiful podcast. I also was watching, and I said, okay, should I ask you again about it's very cool. I am very proud of you. Oh my God, what you are doing. But I would like a little bit to touch about, actually, I was inspired by this episode with Andy, right? And he has mentioned your uh, I guess it partner. I could now start about him, and I'm talking about Andrew Grove, right?
Oh, Andy Grove. Yes. So
Because
Andy
even
Grove was one of
everybody,
the founders of Intel Corporation. Yes.
yeah. And actually, no, I also inspired. So actually, now I've been learning a little bit of his biography, and I was so impressed from this little Jewish penniless guy coming from Hungary and having experienced so much pain and adversity, and still have so much creative fuel that he could transform, and mental challenges and everything. And from that, and what he has done, how he inspired. And you're so, I believe, honored and privileged to be working with him, right? And about this book also, because I have never heard, but I love this. Only the paranoid survives, right? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that
Yes.
was his book.
Could you, yes, could you actually share some story. Can you remember when you actually could meet him for the first time? What was the impression this guy made on you, like personally?
So even when I first joined Intel, Andy Grove was a legend even by then. He helped build that company from some, very humble beginnings, but he had a focus
Mm-hmm.
and an energy, and he had a vision. And that is what rippled through the company. And that's what everybody picked up on.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an amazing executive, but he was also a little harsh, and that was simply his style.
Mm-hmm.
He had a great sense of humor,
Mm-hmm.
but when it came to work, it was all about focus. It was all about there's a problem or an opportunity, and we are going to work together to seize it, right? To take advantage of that. This
Mm-hmm.
is what we need to do to be successful. And he was always worried, and he always looked at what are the bad or unfortunate things that could happen? How do we manage those risks so that we can continue on our journey to be successful?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I had the pleasure of working in his company, and I learned so much from a business perspective. Now, I didn't know him personally. We didn't go out to lunch or anything like that, but his dynamic personality, and it was larger than life, permeated the entire culture
Mm-hmm.
of this massive multinational chip behemoth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was truly amazing to see how he organized everything and got everybody focused. And
Mm-hmm.
human nature is you sometimes go off in tangents, you sometimes argue or bicker or you fight like children.
Yeah.
And he was that father figure that would just lay down the hammer and go, no, we're not fighting with each other. We're not bickering. We have adversaries. We have business competitors that want to crush us. We
Mm-hmm.
have technology that wants to defy discovery, and yet we're going to discover. We're going to build things that nobody else can build. We're going to understand things from a chemical and physics and all these aspects to do and create something that will transform humanity. So stop your bickering, stop your complaining, don't worry about whose title is the biggest, right? Focus. In fact, he kind of bucked the trend, as they say here in the US. Up until that point, a lot of large corporations, the executives had lavish offices,
Mm-hmm.
and middle management had nice offices, and lower management had small little offices, and everybody else worked in desks. He said all that goes away.
Oh.
Everybody works out of a cubicle. And this was unheard of. But
Mm-hmm.
he wanted everybody to be on equal setting, equal
Mm.
ground. And he wanted
Wow.
you to be able to walk up and communicate with anybody, not just your manager, but you could communicate with your manager's manager or to the CEO. He said, if you have a problem and your manager doesn't respond, email me, email the CEO of the company. I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And that leveled the playing field. So the energy, the ideas, the issues were brought up very quickly and addressed very quickly. And it allowed for the entire workforce to work together, not in a hierarchy, but as a unified mass pursuing a goal. So this was his legacy, and you felt it every single day you were in the office. Every meeting you went to didn't matter with who it was with. This was the culture that he built. Truly amazing.
Wow, I have discovered so much now because it's actually totally about at least the subject I'm dealing with every single day because I'm studying in my PhD diversity management, and then it's of course DEI, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion, and of course equality. It's exactly
Mhm.
what you're describing now. Maybe at that time without all these buzzwords and all, but actually it was in action what he has done. Like, no, it should be flat construction. It should be like, no, this a lot of like layers between right manager and the side people. It's amazing. And now I understand, because I could have some data now. When they started, was just 4 persons, like 2 founders, he and his fellow from Hungary as well. And it says, like, the company's revenue in 1968 was $2,672, and under his this iconic leadership style, which you has been describing now, in 97 already it was 20.8 billion. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Then we understand it should be something really, really like special, right? About this person who was like it's an embracer of the whole. And yes, then it should be like a family. It can't be like, competing between each other. Then it's not the joint focus, what's actually vision, mission, right? Everything. It's beautiful. And I also like very much that he gave some strategical directions, which for me now, without this word, but it was actually like you now mentioned about diversification, that we
Mm-hmm.
really value every single voice, everybody equal, everybody single voice. We should listen. It doesn't matter you have title executive, not executive, because if we should use your idea today to settle our solution, then we should listen your idea, right? It doesn't matter what, like, this all this ladder. And it reminds me a little bit Norwegian. So thank you for sharing your story. I believe that that's why you are so amazingly also professional and successful today leader. And actually you're so diversified, and you public speaker, coach, mentor, leader, podcast host, everything, because we kind of always like, right, impact how we evolved, who was our, like, impact role models. And I believe he was kind of role model for you. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So and now we go to a little bit, you should have been more technical, of course. And could you please then, because you have you have been experienced evidence to so many changes, like you already mentioned, from dead job to dream job, right? So wow. So your personal of course career and your role, now we talk just about you, not other people, right? And in all these paths, if we are talking about actually diversity and creating inclusive culture, what was your personal strategy, because your leadership, your role model, and what was actually approaches that probably you have been experienced during your career, which you believe was, yeah, should be fixed a little bit. let's
Well,
put that.
all right. So, and this goes a little bit back to Andy
Yeah.
Grove. When you've got an impossible problem, and I love impossible problems. Impossible problems are just problems that you haven't figured out how to fix yet.
Yeah.
But I love impossible problems. And in many cases, it's not simple. It's not easy. It takes more than one person, one mind, or one expert. And in reality, it may take many layers and many groups to come together from different disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
But the simple fact is, you need the best people. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter their background. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter what degree they have from, or where they were born, or where they live now. It doesn't matter the color of their skin, or their religion, or their political bias, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You need different skills and different viewpoints to come together, typically to solve impossible problems. And in cybersecurity, we have lots of impossible problems. We've got adversaries that are smarter than us, that have more resources than us, that
Mm-hmm.
are, may know our environment more than we do. And they have the initiative. They're already attacking, and we're trying to defend it and detect it and stop it and fix it. And they're already moving on to the next thing. Our attackers, are very diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And that means they have the benefit of different perspectives, different backgrounds, different ways of thinking and approaching challenges. And
Mhm.
they can become very creative because of this diversity. If you're trying to go against that type of powerful adversary, and you're just in a certain narrow mindset because you're all men, you're all Caucasian men from age 23 to 42, and you all graduated from Ivy League colleges,
Mhm.
you're thinking in the same way, and it's limited. It may be great the way you're thinking, but it's very limited.
Mhm.
And the adversary now has an advantage because they can think well beyond your boundaries. And that means they can surprise you. They can approach things in ways that you couldn't even think of. You couldn't foresee that they would maneuver that way.
Mhm.
They have the advantage. And the only counter to that is to recognize you need to embrace diversity and inclusion as well,
Mhm.
because that brings in those different viewpoints, those different perspectives, those radical ideas that wouldn't have occurred to that narrow group of people or that narrow mindset. So we see the power of diversity in our adversaries. And, and it took a little while for cybersecurity to realize we need that as well. That
Mhm.
actually makes us more capable, more powerful, more efficient, and more effective. And in hindsight, you're like, yeah, of course it does. But when the industry first started, it didn't think that way.
Mhm.
And we were limited by our own bias,
Mhm.
which meant in the beginning, if you were going to hire somebody for cybersecurity, you wanted an engineer,
Mhm.
which meant you wanted somebody with a degree, which meant because the people graduating with engineering degrees were male, it was going to be male,
Mhm.
right? And it probably was going to be Caucasian if you were going to hire somebody from the US. So,
Mhm.
and if you're going to hire somebody, a male who was graduated with an engineering degree from the US, it's probably going to be within a certain age range, just naturally.
Mhm.
And now you've narrowed your hiring pool so tight
Mhm.
that you can't get the job done. So, at the time when, for example, I built Intel's first 24 by 7 security operations center. So that's the place whenever you're attacked, you're looking to see every day, every minute, you're looking at all this data and telemetry to see if somebody's trying to attack you, right?
Mhm.
But you need to have skill sets all over the place. And you need to look at that data from different perspectives.
Mhm.
And so when I built that organization, and the first time I turned it on, we had several billion alerts every day come in, and the team
I
had
know.
to figure out, okay, how do I narrow this down? How do I interpret this? How do these things connect? It was important not only to get really skilled people, people with
Mhm.
degrees or been in, networking or mainframe or servers or whatnot, but also to be able to bring in the diversity of different backgrounds, right? And diversity of different cultures and
Mhm.
experiences, because it wasn't just a single person looking at a screen at the alerts.
Mhm.
It was actually a community of people looking at the same thing and thinking, hey, that could be, or I noticed this, and you have a discussion. And so you get an infusion of all these different insights, and that helps everybody get better. And that was amazing, right? And that was a turning point for me where I really realized as I brought all these people in, we were getting exponentially better,
Mhm.
right? And it was because of the diversity of the mindset. And the diversity of your mind is based upon the diversity of your culture and where you grew up and what you studied and what your passion is. and the trials and tribulations of your life, whether you were a male or a female, whether you grew up in the US or grew up in South America or in Asia or in Europe. Everybody experiences different things, but they can bring that to the table for all of those discussions in trying to figure out what the enemy is doing. And that is powerful. And that's what we talk about today, why it's so important, especially in my field.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Brilliant, clearful insights. I was really deliberately now forced myself not to interrupt because I'm not good listener. Believe me, I really sit and like do really some like no. You are listening and learning, and you are not interrupting because all the time. Oh yeah, I know. Oh, I know. I want to put some because I will be forgetting that. But yeah, this is my myself. But I would wish you would be my supervisor. You are so brilliant. You clarified that. I was listening magnetic, like even like you're drawn to my to display, and I'm like, that really to switch my brain and actually to turn off with all my commenting all the time, but really listening. Yes, it should be really brilliant conversation like you are. And I'm so grateful you have already been touched the diversity and the idea it's about blind thinking, blind thoughts when it's just male, just Caucasian. Like we know it's incredible risk and danger now in our world because yes, of course, how can it be possible if we have all this possible colorful diverse representation in society without having representation in people who are making this data, right, and who are analyzing them and making all these systems and patterns and archetypes in chat GPT. If they just think like that, how can possibly guy who is like from Ivy League colleges, universities, or in Norway it's special the same, it's like Scandinavian guy from Bergen from special university, and it's like white collar that we call them. But if they are CEO, executives, and board members, they think absolutely the same. It's totally blind way. How can they understand and predict and make something that my very special seductive mind can come up to, right? They have no chance, literally. I can charge them to that, but then they need somebody like me sitting there, right? And this girl, she probably will go not like this, but she can do like this, and we need to be there. So I know what you mean. And actually it's so fun, but I would like to touch a little bit more specifically about probably diversity, gender diversity, because it's still kind of in your industry, it's still like
Yes.
male, like domain, and still like kind of prejudice that, like you said, it should be, we all think, okay, it should be IT person, which is very introvert with this big glossy suit, and I don't care about the rest of the world, just dive in there. I have never heard about word sexy or something, right? And like this small lens, we even me look through, and some things, like before I actually prepared for this podcast, I was reading about you and heard some of course conversation, and I found out, oh my god, 3 new words like ransomware, malware, phishing, right? Because you've been talking about phishing with on this podcast, and I was like, phishing? Why they suddenly spoke about phishing? I was like, what? We start from technical, now sexy, now phishing. What's going on? And then I looked in the subtitles, like, oh, this is not phishing, this is something. I said, oh my god, I need to learn that. I said, so
Fishing with a P. Yes,
yeah.
fishing with a P, not enough.
Yes, some girly blonde brain. I really had to speed up and learn all that stuff, right? And then I believe like it's still kind of, we need to do something, even with our mindset, that girls, I believe more and more that actually girls, they want to apply, they have much interest in for this domain. But still, even in me, if I was, and I have actually as well, but I still have kind of like, some switcher in me, like, maybe I'm not good enough. It's not for me. It's just
Yeah.
for guys. So many girls like that. I believe we need maybe to create some platforms to share a little bit more that no, we need diversity. Girl, come here. We need, because we are also building tools for you, but we need to know how you think, because okay, lady and intuition, it's another subject. Nobody can read that. Even we never know what we want tomorrow, right? It's hormones, it's other stuff, we're not discussing that. But anyway, kind of some patterns, but then you have to have us on board, right? What would you think can help us to like low prejudice, or maybe we are too harsh on ourselves? No, I'm not good enough, me and IT, no. So what can we change in our society, like that we can expand diversity, like gender diversity in your domain? Thank
Yeah. So you've stated a lot. Let me unpack a little bit of that.
Yeah.
In the IT world and specifically in cybersecurity world, it is a male-dominated field. Unfortunately, when I first started, it was less than 1% were women.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've gotten between 20 and 25%. The numbers continue to climb. And
Mm-hmm.
that's very important, and that's a very important part of what I want to do to the industry as well, because we need women, we need underrepresented minorities as well in this field for all the reasons that I've talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beyond just being socially and ethically the right thing to do, we literally need them to succeed. So it's been a passion of mine for many years to talk to high schools and grade schools and universities, to talk to women, to talk to men, to talk to all sorts of different cultures and backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, it is trying to fight that bias we already have,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some people think, and they still think this way, oh, a woman can't be technical. A woman isn't good at math, or a woman isn't good at science. That is fundamentally incorrect. Some of the most brilliant, most technical people I know are women.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing in our biology, there's nothing in our brain that says one person, whether they're male or female, can't be technical. That's not true. But we believe it because of some of our culture, right?
Yeah.
In many of our cultures, it's male dominated. The man goes to work, the woman stays home. Well, the woman's good at nurturing. A man can't be nurturing? No, a man can. But because of the way societies have created themselves for
Mm-hmm.
some important reasons, especially, for survival when, generations past, but those things aren't relevant anymore. And so we are seeing more women showcase
Mm-hmm.
how smart and aggressive, how technical, how brilliant they are, and how much they can contribute. And so I think we need to reinforce that. We need to go to those young women and to those minorities that are underrepresented and say,
Mm-hmm.
forget everything you've been told. Forget what your your grandfather said, this is the norm, right? Forget all that. Find something you're passionate about. Apply yourself. You will get good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And succeed in this world, contribute to this world. And if you want to be the next theoretical physicist, do it. You want to be the next mathematician or computer scientist or AI engineer, you can do that too, right? But don't hold yourself back. And then you have to talk to all the teachers and sometimes parents and universities and then all the hiring managers out in the world and have the same discussion with them, because their bias may be
Yeah.
blinding them from seeing the opportunity, seeing the capability, seeing the skill sets. And so in our industry, unfortunately, right,
Mm-hmm.
we have women that come in and they kind of decide, oh, well, maybe I can't be too technical, but I could do communications, I could do
Design.
marketing, I could do training.
Mm-hmm.
And they do, and they knock it out of the park. But I have to go to them And I used to do this at Intel all the time. I'll go to them and go, is this really what you want to do? And many times I'll go, well, I'm kind of interested a little bit. And they're pensive even in saying it. I'm kind of interested in some of the technical aspects and everything. I'm like, stop right there. First off, don't be pensive, right? If you're passionate about it, let's do it. Let's build a plan. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to do anything. If you're interested, let's make this happen. Because if you are interested and you are passionate, you're going to work hard and you're going to be great, right? I will be behind you. You're going to be smarter than me at this stuff. How can I help you succeed? Because you can. And you see them kind of come out of their shell a little bit like, I can? Of course you can. Stop doubting yourself. And any of the other people, right? You may go into a group where there's 5 males that are working. If any of them have doubts, prove them wrong. And if they are negative in any way, bring me in and I will set them straight, right? You have an advocate behind you. And just because there is bias in the world, don't let that stop you, because you can be great and you can make a difference in this world. And that's what we all should be aspiring to do. Make a difference in this world. So there's a lot of bias that we have. I personally do not believe that a woman cannot be technical or will always be less capable than a man. Heck no, that is fundamentally incorrect. And I'm passionate about that, right? And when I deal with men who go, oh, well, she's just a woman. I said, well, you're just an idiot. That doesn't seem to hold you back, right? I'm going to invest in smart, passionate people, regardless of their race, their religion, their sex, their beliefs, what they do in their spare time, right? Whatever. I don't care where they were born. I don't care if their family is rich or not rich. If they're capable and they're passionate, let's go. Let's go.
Amazing. I can that even more idea that you should have been my supervisor, that's for sure. And that, yes, because after even we chatted now, like, 50 minutes, like, okay, this guy, he should, like, really role model, inspiring, and he should, like, have the course, passion management and all that stuff. Oh my God, it's really amazing. And you actually so aligned with my, like, even questions and the way of thinking and approaching the podcast. That's why I knew it will be brilliant, because you already mentioned that actually at the end of the day, what we are doing here, okay, in our society, community, of course, but on this earth, if we are making impact, right, it doesn't matter gender, color of your skin, even how now we call it accessibility, but disability or I mean, like, all these diversity dimensions, and now we are actually coming to the very passionate subject of mine, like, because neurodiversity, I have discovered that it very, I don't know, very freshly, like, okay, short story, if people some just jumping in this podcast without knowing me, I'm actually displaying this type of diversity, which is called neurodiversity. It's actually neurological diversity. It means that our brain just wired differently, and for me it makes sense. We're all different. Biodiversity, it's beautiful health system because it's diversity, right? Representation of really wide range and diversity. We all different, 8 billions, not like the same face and fingertips. But why it's still in our society prejudice that, oh, okay, but if her brain is not like mine, like normal, what is actually normal now, what is typical now, then it's still discrimination and rape and like a lot of stigma and prejudice and sometimes people, now maybe especially in your domain, actually it's kind of cool because they say, because I have a DHD about that, or oh, I'm so OCD about that, that's why. And people kind of believe that people with neurodiversity actually much better for IT domain because you are hyper focused. It's a lot of them tracks qualities, which is actually very good, right? but still a lot of stuff. Like, for me, it took just 14 years and 15, and still I work every single day for me, for myself, not to be harsh and self-criticize, like killing me that I'm not good enough, because I have OCD. I have severe episode in this fall. I was put in mental hospital. I was 1 month almost there, studying hardest ever tools to maintain exposure therapy. And then I decided to make difference impact. If I can be and myself, my own story, inspire just one person, not to feel lonely, not to feel like you're a loser, you are not good enough, because then it leads to depression, and then depression is
Yeah.
suicidal attempt, and we know all that, and I've been there as well with all those thoughts and everything. And I believe if I just can inspire one single person, or even maybe some parent can hear and like even can give a little bit more strength to parents or friends or people who are close to people with neurodivergence, like so it's already, I cannot ask more, because I believe we all have calling in this earth from God. I believe in God, and that's what you are doing. I believe you're also on that mission, because you are really already mentioned so many times that regardless race and everything, that if you have passion, you are unique. Bring your passion to the table. Bring, like, unfold these layers, right? And that's why about neurodiversity, I believe as well that we need more and more, just like you and me now, have open conversation. Yes, it is has always been there, like people with ADHD, autism, it's
Hmm.
always been there, but we're like, okay, we know this, but we're not talking about that, right? They're strange, they're different. We don't want to have, it's too much problems to have them in working force, right? Because then you need to adjust your working culture, and we don't want that. We want something familiar.
Yes.
We don't want to change. No, we need like,
There's a fear in that, right? They think, and again, this goes back to an older age,
mm-hmm,
that in business, everyone should act the same, do
mm-hmm,
the same expectations,
mm-hmm,
and that's false. You are
mm-hmm,
going to alienate people. You are going to put people in areas that they're uncomfortable in, and they can't perform well. And
mm-hmm,
instead, we should be thinking, and this is really a manager's job, right?
mm-hmm,
The manager should be thinking, I've got a group of people and they're all different. They all have strengths and weaknesses.
mm-hmm,
How do I help maximize their strengths, right? How do I make sure and protect them from being put in positions that are going to undermine that?
mm-hmm.
So I used to manage, many different teams, some small, some large. And I can remember one that, and I've had many neurodivergent people on my staff. In fact, some of the most brilliant people are absolutely neurodivergent, right?
Thank you, thank
It's true, though. It's true. I had one, and he was antisocial, but he was an incredible engineer. And I'd opened up a rec, and this was one of the people that applied for it. And their manager came to me and said, "This person's not a good employee. You don't want to hire them." And I said, "Well, I'm still going to interview them." And I
you.
interviewed them, and they were antisocial, right? They didn't want, and borderline on the spectrum, right?
Mm-hmm,
And so, they didn't want eye contact and everything. And we were in a very small room, right?
mm-hmm,
And he was nervous and everything. And
mm-hmm.
I said, "You know what? Leave your stuff right there. Let's go for a walk."
Okay,
And so we
wow.
went outside where it was nice and open. It didn't feel confined. And we
Mm-hmm.
were walking side by side. I made sure we were walking side by side. So you didn't have to have eye contact. And I
Yeah.
said, "Tell me about your skills. Tell me what's going on." And he opened up. And this guy, I realized very quickly, super brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
right? He had the skill set that
Yeah.
was amazing from a technology perspective. He understand the bits and the bytes and things at a level that I will never understand,
Mm-hmm.
but he could apply that. And we started talking, and I said, "I kind of get the feeling that you don't like meetings, for example. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, no. He's like, my manager forces me, every morning the entire team has to go into the meeting room and then we all have to stand up and talk about something. And I'm like, and I could see just from his physical response as he's telling me the story, his hands are getting clasped, his shoulders are coming in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he's stressing out just telling me this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, your manager actually called me and talked with me. And he's like, yeah, they don't like me. They don't like me. And I said, it sounds like they don't appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, I do a lot of stuff, but I'm almost afraid to talk about it. I don't feel comfortable talking about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, listen, I like your skill set and I want you on my team.
Mm-hmm.
And as your manager, I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to give you impossible challenges in
Mm-hmm.
this technical space. And you saw his eyes light up like, yes, that's what I love, right? Challenge me. And I
Yeah.
said, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure you're not put in those uncomfortable positions
Mm-hmm.
because that holds you back,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I said, we do have staff meetings, but you're not going to have to talk if you don't want to. And I'll tell you what as well. I've got another person on my team that's not as technical as you. They could learn so much from you. But
Mm-hmm.
what they are good at is communicating. They love to communicate with
Mm-hmm.
groups. I said, what if I partnered you with this person?
Mm-hmm.
And you can do your technical brilliance. They can learn from you. And he's like, well, I'd like to teach someone, right? And I said, yeah, you can show, but not in a group setting, just one-on-one. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
I would like that. And
Yeah.
I said, this person then would take what you're doing, and in that staff meeting, they would present. They would present your brilliance and what you're doing because they love doing that. They love translating it and talking. He's like, that would be great. Right. And that's what we did. I hired him, we paired him up, and it was fantastic. He absolutely loved being a mentor, a technical mentor, and he loved the challenges. And in the staff meetings, right, this other person would get up and he got to shine and
Mm-hmm.
say, yeah, this is what we're doing. He figured all this stuff out and we're doing this and that. It got to such an extreme that after about 6 months, I noticed this guy would come in at 6 a.m. in the morning and he would work 2 or 3 hours later
Mm-hmm.
than his shift. And I had to go to him and I said, you haven't taken a single vacation day. I catch you in here on the weekends. You're here and I get in before everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you're here before me, and I'm the last guy that leaves, and sometimes you're the last one that leaves before me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you got to take time off. You got to go on vacation. He's like, I don't want to go on vacation. I don't want to go on. And I said, as your manager, I want you to just take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a day, for 2 days, take 3 days off, whatever. Because
Okay.
he was so excited to be there. And it was such a happy place for him. And he was
Oh.
one of my highest producers of figuring things out. You maximize the skills based on the person. You don't force people into frameworks because it's easier to manage. A good manager will help people thrive. Even neurodiverse people. In fact, they can add a huge new layer and facet to what your team can typically offer. So a lot of it's also up to the managers, right? A good manager will reinforce and cater and make the team better, more powerful, more efficient at the end of the day.
Wow,
Sorry, that
one
was a
more
long
great
story. That was a long story.
actually
I've got
this
100 of them.
time I didn't want even to interrupt you. I was basically like drugged, like, oh my god. I could just sit hours and listening to this person. Wow, and your passion and articulation, everything. Oh, and like you mentioned, this duo, right? That somebody like really you pair them like puzzle, and they became so beautifully entity. Because I imagine, oh, I would be this guy number two, because I love communicating. I love talking, because just me and computer, it's bad idea, because then I start shaking it. Okay, you don't talk. You don't want to talk to me. Really? I'm not. No, let's talk a little bit, just a little bit. Not good idea. So wow, amazing. We need. Oh yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. The time just was flying so quickly. I hope one day we can limitless, you and me, sit and chat and laugh and joke. And I'm moving to LA, so you owe me one private session without limitations.
All right, we'll do it.
But before we're wrapping up, so I would like, it's my tradition, like, because you're the word sex and all this stuff, so you sure you know what is fairy tales, and you know which fairy tale this special subject from, right? What is it?
Magic lamp, typically a gin lamp, or genie if you're from the Western cultures, yes.
Let's go.
If you're from Disney, it's Aladdin, the story of Aladdin and the magic lamp, but yes.
Wow, yes, then amazing, of course. And Genie, okay, let's call it Valerie today, from Valerie. It's a little bit tricky one, because I'm like you. I try to help so many people. I would like to make their wishes true. So there is no place for everybody's 3 wishes here, you see.
Okay.
But one wish I can make it. I know some tricks how I should, talk to this lamp.
Okay.
My favorite color. So if it was your wish today, it can be everything, small, big, for you, for the world, doesn't matter. What exactly right now hits your brilliant mind?
So throughout my career, I've always had one professional goal, right? My personal professional goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that it motivates me every single day. I want to make a difference in making digital technology trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love digital technology. I love all the toys and the capabilities and what it does for society. It connects us. It equalizes us. It promotes us and allows us to advance humanity, to advance. And it only works if it's secure and safe and, allows us to not be victimized by it. And so that's if I'm rubbing the lamp, this is how I want to contribute to society. I want to help make digital technology trustworthy.
Amazing. And then I think actually it's kind of also key, maybe then people should also have been more digitally, let's call it digital literacy. Makes sense, right? Kind of for us, like for me, fishing, fishing, all that. So I was like, what the heck, fishing now? What this guy's talking about? I don't understand. Amazing, trustworthy, yes. But as more as we know about something, we believe, kind of try to trust, right? So I think we need, even me and other, inspire each other to be little bit more literate. But then we have to, we all responsible for that, because we want to use it, right? Of course we want. But then we should be responsible for teaching ourselves a little bit also how to use it, right? Yeah.
And understand you're not alone, right? If you have a question or an issue, you can reach out to somebody. If you're not sure if you should click on that email or not, you can reach out. There are people like me that, yes, I need help. Matthew, you're a security expert. Tell me, should I click on this link or not? The answer is no. But you're not alone. We're not alone in this world. We are stronger when we are together. That's what inclusion is about, right? So don't try and solve all the security issues or safety issues or privacy issues by yourself. We are the strongest when we're working together. And that means you can't be shy in calling somebody up or asking for help. I call up people all the time, right? And I ask for help because I can't solve everything alone. We have to work together. So we communicate, we collaborate.
Basically, have you heard my beautiful audience? Now, actually, next time, before I discussing with myself to put this, press the link. So I have somebody to call. I have somebody.
You have someone to call.
Yes. Now I have this. I have brilliant Matt who can be calling. Oh yes. He's like, why did I say that to this girl? Right? Yeah. Because you said that don't be shy. I don't think that I have this issue, but
No,
to
no.
press the link, I still have some hesitation. Oh, actually, before I
Yes.
put my wrap in closing remarks, I want to ask you one fact because I forgot totally about this. Because I know also you're a podcast hoster, and I advise everybody to get all this beautiful, really smart technical stuff. I was avoiding today to ask about all that. It's brilliantly, I believe. So, but I want actually to find out that through your experience with podcasting, because people probably ask you because you are this Mr. Brain, right? But one thing which you actually learned from your guest that you have had no idea, it's like, oh, really? Wow. I'm Mr. Brain. I didn't know that. Was it something like this? Oh, not for me. I understand. Even don't try. Meet me later. I know it's okay, but maybe from other brilliant minds.
I learn from everybody that I talk with. Every
So
single,
brilliant.
even
I knew
you, even
would
you.
say that.
Okay, so you know what I learned from you today, right?
Yeah.
You've been very open about your neurodiversity history and challenges. You
Mm,
have showcased to me that somebody can be open and upfront with that and
mm,
still very successful. You have adapted to that, and you are now using that as a lever to help you move forward, to be able to connect with people, to drive yourself to do greater and more valuable things, right? So, I learn from every single person that I talk with. And I know even before I talk with them that I should be looking. I should be looking to how I can grow, how
mm.
I can get better through their eyes, through their experiences. And that's whether it's in a podcast, whether I'm up on stage doing a keynote, whether I'm in a small table in a cafe, just having a great conversation with somebody. We can learn, and we should. Life is an experience of continual learning, and it's up to us to see that opportunity and be better for it every single day.
Wow, I'm going to kidnap you. You'll be my co-host. We should, that's for sure. We will be. Oh my God, I'm moving. That's my plan now. One day you come in and like somebody sitting with like even back on your. You said I could come to you and ask you, Valeria, what you were doing here. I was like, I'm neurodivergent. I have no social intelligence.
I
I
don't
have a
believe
sector.
that.
I
You've
have
got social skills. You do.
amazing. I love it. Thank you. And actually, you have already gave so much gems to me. I learned so much from you, and before I should have been hosting you, and I would like to learn more and more. I hope not the last one between you and me.
We'll do it again. Absolutely. I'd be happy to
Yeah,
come back again.
thank you. And I also actually uh, to wrapping up, we still come a little bit to Andy Groves because I like his also approach, and we have quoted him today. Now, yes, not quoted, but we refer to him because I found very nice idea. He was talking about corporation or organization is a living organism, right? Living
Yes.
organism.
Living
And
organ.
for me, yes, living organism. And for me, it was the same. Like here he actually mentioned corporation, but for me, it was like the whole society actually. And because
Mhm.
our podcast about diversification, and inclusion, so for me, it was like it hit me immediately that if I could really refer his quote about um, corporation, and it's about transformation for me in the context of society. If you look, he said a corporation is a living organism. It has to continue to shed its skin. Methods have to change. Focus has to change. Values have to change. The sum total of those changes is transformation. And I would say, and I would call it diversification, right? It's the same.
Mhm.
It's beautiful said. It's just okay if we put society is a living organism, and like you already mentioned so many times, we need to change, to adjust, to be open all the time, right? Because everything is changing, especially in your domain, every single hour. How can you sit still and believe, oh, I'm so smart, and a friend like me, look like me, can solve all that? No, everything should change. That's why values have to change, focus have to change. Some total of these changes transformation. He called transformation. It's the same. Or okay, this is very difficult word for brain for a girl. Diversification. Sexy, no?
Diversification. Yes.
Yes. Okay, this is what my last one, and thank you ever so much. I had wow, because like I've mentioned to you, now my mission heads to New York next week. I will be in New York Stock Exchange FinTech TV, and actually I will be representing my story. Which thank you so much. You gave so much compliments, credits to me. I will be also on my mission further to open about me displaying neurodiversity very openly, and I will be talking about creating more inclusive environments for people like us, right? And I will be also hosting the show for sustainable fashion for neurodivergent people, because I believe that fashion and everything should be absolutely inclusive today as well, right? Because IE and actually what we are going to put, we interact every single day to make responsible choice, right? Eat food. Now, of course, what we are waking up with all that stuff and go to bed, right? So you are my last one, not last one, but I mean, before I will be a little bit on a mission. So I'm so inspired and grateful that I choose you, or the destiny choose us to have this last one before maybe I will be back, like, in 10 days kind of. But it gave me so much. And today's Mother's Day in Norway, at least. So today you became my gift, actually, because all the time I'm like you. Yes, all the
Happy
time.
Mother's Day.
Thank you. When I can put something very good in stomach, because I have salted caramel, I love it. But when I can put food in my brain, and you give me so much desserts, that's best I know. So thank you for this gift, brilliant gift, and thank you for my audience. That I hope you like this episode, because yes, like I said, okay, I tried to make it not very very technical, because I couldn't. Obviously. All that stuff, but I tried to make it a little bit different, even maybe from podcasts you have held with other people. Diversity, should be always diversity. But thank you so much.
Adapt.
A brilliant story. I hope you enjoyed, because maybe I didn't ask that many deep questions about technology. You could really really shine, but I had no capability of that.
It's a great conversation.
Yeah.
And diversity and inclusion, it's hugely important. So, and it's important to my industry. So I'm very happy you invited me here, and I've had a pleasure chatting with you today.
Yes, me too. Okay. Wish you much success with your mission, like I said, every single day, to make it really trustworthy. And of course, I'm so inspired to see that it's your passion, and I just wish also that your passion, it's never like diminished, like passion. Because then you spread your radiant passion, and we can be like, wow, passion. And so many girls that can be inspired by you comment, like, oh, okay, after this conversation, I go and apply. I will do it.
Don't hesitate. Do
Yeah,
it.
don't hesitate. Just do it. Thank you so much again. And until next time, stay tuned with us. And you also, if you need maybe my humble advice, you can always reach to me.
Careful what you offer.
No. I exactly know. We too passionate. We can really change the world. We already doing that. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you. Staying with us. Stay tuned. Thank you to our audience. Bye-bye.